Hello everyone, it's Glenda and welcome back to my channel, Creative Grandma. I hope everyone is having a happy crochet or knitting day. Well, today's crochet tutorial is for this adorable little baby blanket. This is a 1-row repeat with a beautiful delicate shell border. Now this blanket was a challenge from Premier to make a baby blanket out of one skein of their new Premier Just Yarn Value yarn that was just released. So I took the challenge and I made a baby blanket with just one skein of yarn. So this little baby blanket measures 28.5 inches across. Let me go ahead and open it up. Now this blanket is the perfect size because when you have a newborn baby, you do not want the baby to get lost in the blanket. So just beautiful stitch definition with this yarn. The little shell stitch border just adds the perfect accent. Now my challenge was to make a blanket with one skein, so I did use all the same color for the blanket. But if you wish, you could order a second color in and trim the afghan in a different color, or you can keep it the same color with a solid color. I just thought it was a wonderful yarn. It worked up very well. I had no problems with the yarn whatsoever. And again, it made a baby blanket 28.5 inches across by 30.5 inches long, just the perfect size. So let me go ahead and tell you everything you're going to need to make this blanket today. So for our project today, I'm using the Premier Just Yarn Value yarn. This is a brand new released yarn from Premier. It comes in an 875 yard skein, 800 meters, 14 ounces, and 400 grams. It's 100% acrylic. It's a number 4 medium weight yarn. It's machine wash, warm, tumble dry low. It also has been tested and approved against 350 harmful substances, so you know it's going to be safe against a baby's skin or anybody's skin that may have allergic reactions to chemicals that they use in the yarns. So today I'm using light blue color 2125-11. You're going to need one skein of the color of your choice. You're also going to need a size I9 or 5.5 millimeter crochet hook. So grab your yarn, grab your hook, and let's get this project started. To begin our project, I already have my light blue attached to my hook, and I just used a double knot. You can use a slip knot if you wish, or whichever method you prefer to join your yarn. Now I want to remind everyone that all my crochet tutorials are filmed using USA crochet terms. We're going to begin and we're going to chain 84. You're going to yarn over the hook, pull it through the loop on your hook, and this creates your first chain. The loop on your hook does not count as a chain. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Continue until you have 84 chains, and I'll be back and we'll start row 1. I'm back. I have my 84 chains made, and now we're ready to begin row 1. To begin row 1, we're going to skip the very first chain. Now remember, the loop on your hook does not count as a chain. You're going to skip the first chain, insert into the second chain, work a single crochet. Yarn over, pull through that chain. You have 2 loops. Yarn over and pull through 2 loops. You just made a single crochet. We're going to make a double crochet back into that same chain, yarn over, insert back into that same chain, yarn over and pull back through. You have 3 loops, yarn over, pull through 2 loops only, yarn over and pull through 2 loops. You just made a double crochet. So looking at your work, you're going to have a single crochet and a double crochet all into that second chain from hook. Now we're ready to begin our repeat. We're going to skip this next chain, into the next chain, work a single crochet, and then work a double crochet back into that same chain. And that is the end of the repeat. So let's do it again. You're going to skip the next chain, insert into the next chain, work your single crochet, and then double crochet back into that same chain. And that is the end of the repeat. And again, you have a single crochet and a double crochet all into that same chain. Skip the next chain, insert into the next chain, work a single crochet, and then double crochet back into that same chain. So go ahead and continue. You're going to skip the next chain, into the next chain, work a single crochet and a double crochet. You want to repeat that down the length of your chain until you get to the very last 2 chains. So stop right before you get to the last 2 chains. I'll meet you there and show you how to end the row. I'm over at the end of row 1. You should have 2 chains remaining, and to end the row you're going to skip the next chain and work 1 single crochet into that very last chain. And row 1 is finished. Now I did forget to mention, if you want to make the afghan larger, then you want to use the multiple of an even number, so in multiples of 2. Now, if you make your afghan larger, you may have to adjust round 2 of the border, and you'll need to buy more yarn. So row 1 is your base row, and row 2 is going to be your repeat row. So let's go ahead and begin row 2. To begin row 2, you're going to chain 1, and you're going to turn your work. You're going to skip this beginning chain 1, and you want to insert right into that first stitch. Insert under the top 2 loops, and you're going to work a single crochet and then double crochet back into that same stitch. So for this row, we're only working in the single crochet stitches. So you're going to skip this next double crochet stitch, and if you're not sure where your stitches are, turn your work so you can see the top of those stitches. Skip the next double crochet and start your repeat into the next single crochet. Insert into that next single crochet, work a single crochet, and then double crochet back into that same stitch. Skip the next double crochet, insert into the next single crochet, work your single crochet, and then double crochet back into that same stitch. Let's do it again. Skip that next double crochet, insert into the next single crochet, work a single crochet, and then double crochet back into that same stitch. I'll show you one more time. Skip the next double crochet, insert into the next single crochet, work a single crochet, and then double crochet back into that same stitch. So go ahead and continue. You're going to skip the next double crochet and into the next single crochet, work a single crochet and a double crochet. You're going to repeat that down the length of your row until you get to the last 2 stitches, and I'll meet you at the last 2 stitches of row 2. I'm over at the end of row 2. You should have a total of 2 stitches remaining, and if you're using stitch markers, you're going to have a stitch marker in this last stitch. And again, if you're not sure where your stitches are, turn your work and you can see the top of those stitches. To end the row, you're going to skip this double crochet. You're going to insert under the top 2 loops of that last single crochet stitch and work 1 single crochet into that last stitch. So row 2 is finished. This is what your work looks like so far. So now to continue working on your baby blanket, you're going to repeat row 2 until you have a total of 81 rows. So again, to continue working on your baby blanket, repeat row 2 over and over until you have a total of 81 rows. Now, as you're working your rows, if you put a stitch marker in every 5th row or maybe every 10th row, it makes it so much easier to keep track of your rows that way. And then if you're in the middle and you're not sure what row you're on, you can count your stitch markers by 5, 10, 15, 20, or if you place it every 10 rows, you can go 10, 20, 30, and you can know pretty quickly what row you're on. So again, repeat row 2 until you have a total of 81 rows, and I'll be back and we'll start our border. So I'm over at the end of row 81. This is what your baby blanket should look like so far. And now we're getting ready to put our border on. So go ahead and fasten off. This is what your blanket should look like. Very beautiful stitch pattern. So now to begin the border, we're not going to turn our work. You're already on the right hand side. So when you fasten off, it's on the left hand side. Just follow it right over to the right hand corner. And we're going to join right into the top of this first stitch of the last row worked. So I already attached my yarn with a double knot, and I'm going to insert under the top 2 loops of that first stitch. And then I'm just going to slip stitch, yarn over, pull through that stitch, and pull through the loop on my hook. And this just creates a nice secure join. We're going to begin round 1 of the border with the chain 1, and this beginning chain 1 does not count as a stitch. We're going to work a half double crochet back into this first stitch, yarn over, insert back into that first stitch, yarn over, and pull back through. You have 3 loops, yarn over, and pull through all 3 loops on your hook. You're going to half double crochet into the next stitch, and we're going to continue and work 1 half double crochet in each stitch across to the next corner. Half double crochet into the next stitch, half double crochet into the next stitch. Make sure you're going under both of those top 2 loops, half double crochet into the next stitch. So go ahead and continue and work 1 half double crochet in each stitch across until you get to your next corner, and I'll meet you there. I'm over at my first corner of round 1 of our border. We just worked 1 half double crochet in each stitch across to the corner. So you can see I worked in that last stitch, and now we're going to chain 2 for the corner. You just want to swing your work around, and now we're going to be working down the length of our blanket. So when you look at your work, if you pull a little bit, you're going to see the row end stitches. Here's a row end stitch, here's a row end stitch. So you're going to have a tighter row end stitch than a larger row end stitch. Tighter row end stitch, larger row end stitch. And if you're not sure, then look at the row below. I know it's a little bit hard with this pattern because it goes this way and then it goes this way. So you can see here's your single crochet row end stitch very clearly here. So when you go to the next row below, follow those stitches over and it'll help you find your row end stitch. So let's go ahead and begin working down the length of our blanket. You're going to half double crochet into the first row end stitch, half double crochet into the next row end stitch, and just pull on your work a little bit and you can see those row end stitches opening up. Half double crochet into the next row end stitch, half double crochet into the next row end stitch, half double crochet into the next row end stitch, and then continue and work 1 half double crochet in each row end stitch down the length to within the last row, and I'll meet you there. I'm over at the next corner, or our second corner of round 1 of our border. We just worked 1 half double crochet in each row end stitch down the length to within the last row end stitch. So if you worked a half double crochet in this last row end stitch, go ahead and rip it out. What we're going to do for this corner and this corner only is we're going to skip the row end stitch and work our half double crochet in the first chain going across the bottom. So it is at the base of this row, but it's acting as the first chain across. So we're going to yarn over, insert into that chain, the first chain going across the bottom or right at the base of our stitch, right into that space, work a half double crochet. You're going to chain 2 for the corner. And now we're working across the bottom of our afghan in each chain across. So what you're going to do is you're going to work a half double crochet back into that same first chain as the last stitch worked. And this forms our corner, and it keeps it right at the corner. If you place your stitch back here, then it's going to pull this stitch and distort your corner. That's why we're doing it this way. You're going to half double crochet into the next chain, and you can see those chains. They're clearly marked here, 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 and that's where you're going to work. Half double crochet into the next chain, half double crochet into the next chain, half double crochet into the next chain, half double crochet into the next chain. So go ahead and continue and work 1 half double crochet in each stitch across until you get to the next corner. I'm over at my next corner. We just worked 1 half double crochet in each chain across to the corner, and now we're going to chain 2, 1, 2, and this forms our corner. And now we're going to work down the length and repeat what we've done on the opposite side. So go ahead and swing your work around. Half double crochet into the first row end stitch down the length. Half double crochet into the next row end stitch. Half double crochet into the next row end stitch. Half double crochet into the next row end stitch. And when you look at your work, you're going to have that larger row end stitch, and then you're going to have that smaller row end stitch. So go ahead and continue and work 1 half double crochet in each row end stitch down to the next corner, and I'll meet you there. I'm over at the last corner of round 1 of our border. We just worked 1 half double crochet in each row end stitch down the length, and I have 1 row end stitch remaining. So I like to really show how to start and finish a round. So this is our first half double crochet stitch here. This is the base of the stitch, and this is the last row end stitch. So you're going to work a half double crochet right at the base of that beginning half double crochet into that last row end stitch. And then you're going to chain 2 to form your corner. And now we're going to join with a slip stitch into the top of that beginning half double crochet. So skip that beginning chain 1. Come up to the top of that first half double crochet, insert under the top 2 loops, and then slip stitch through that stitch and through this loop on your hook. So round 1 of our border is finished. Now before you begin round 2, just double check your stitch count. You should have a total of 83 half double crochet across the top and the bottom of your blanket. And you should have a total of 81 half double crochet along the side of your blanket. So again, 83 half double crochet across the top and bottom, and 81 half double crochet down the length of your blanket. And this way you'll know that round 2 should come out correctly. To begin round 2, we're going to skip the beginning joining stitch, and we're going to slip stitch into the very next stitch, through that stitch and through the loop on your hook, and then you want to insert into the next stitch and slip stitch through that stitch and through the loop on your hook. And this is where we're going to begin the round. You're going to chain 1, and the beginning chain 1 does not count as a stitch. You're going to half double crochet back into that same stitch. You're going to work 1 more half double crochet back into that same stitch, and then you're going to chain 2. And then you're just going to move your stitches over, and you're going to work 2 more half double crochet back into that same stitch. 1 and 2. And when you look at your work, we have our 2 half double crochet, chain 2, and 2 half double crochet forming our shell stitch. So now we're going to start our repeat. You're going to skip the next 2 stitches and make sure your shell stitch is not covering this stitch. Skip the next 2 stitches, and into the next stitch work 2 half double crochets. 1 and 2. You're going to chain 2 and then work 2 more half double crochet back into that same stitch. 1 and 2. And when you look at your work, again, you're going to have 2 half double crochet, a chain 2, and 2 half double crochet forming your shell stitch. Let's do the repeat again. You're going to skip the next 2 stitches, and into the next stitch work 2 half double crochets. 1 and 2. You're going to chain 2 and then work 2 half double crochet back into that same stitch. 1 and 2. And that is the end of the repeat, and you can see how your pattern is forming. Let's do it one more time together. You're going to skip the next 2 stitches, into the next stitch, work 2 half double crochets. 1 and 2. You're going to chain 2. Yarn over, insert back into that same stitch, and work 2 more half double crochets. 1 and 2. And that is the end of the repeat. So go ahead and continue. You're going to skip the next 2 stitches, and into the next stitch work 2 half double crochet, chain 2, and 2 half double crochet. Repeat that across the top of your blanket until you're within 2 stitches from the corner, and I'll meet you there. I'm over at my first corner of round 2 of our border. We worked our shell stitches across, and you should have 2 stitches remaining. Then you have your corner chain 2 space. We're going to skip the next 2 stitches, and into the corner chain 2 space we're going to work 4 half double crochets. 1, 2, 3, and 4. You're going to chain 2 for the corner and then pull those stitches over, and we're going to work 4 more half double crochet back into that same corner chain 2 space. 1, 2, 3, and 4. So when you look at your corner, you're going to have 4 half double crochet, a chain 2, and 4 half double crochet into that corner chain 2 space. You're just going to spin your work around, and now we're going to start working down the length of our blanket, and we're going to repeat the same pattern. You're going to skip the next 2 stitches, and remember that this first stitch is going to be covered up, so you're skipping 1, 2 stitches, into the next stitch, work 2 half double crochets. 1 and 2. You're going to chain 2 and then work 2 more half double crochet back into that same stitch. 1 and 2. So when you look at your work, you're going to have 2 half double crochet, a chain 2, and 2 half double crochet all into that same stitch. So let's do the repeat again. You're going to skip the next 2 stitches and into the next stitch work 2 half double crochets. 1 and 2. You're going to chain 2. Yarn over, insert back into that stitch, work 2 more half double crochets. 1 and 2. So let me show you one more time. You're going to skip the next 2 stitches into this next stitch, work 2 half double crochets. 1 and 2. You're going to chain 2 and then work 2 more half double crochet back into that same stitch. 1 and 2. And that is the end of the repeat, and you're just repeating what we've done across the top of the blanket. So go ahead and continue. You're going to skip the next 2 stitches and into the next stitch work 2 half double crochet, a chain 2, and 2 half double crochet. Repeat that down the length of your blanket until you get within 3 stitches of the corner, and I'll meet you there. I'm over at my next corner. We just worked down the second side of our afghan down the length, repeating that shell stitch pattern. And you should have worked down until you had 3 stitches remaining. So we're going to skip all 3 stitches, and into the corner chain 2 space, we're going to work 4 half double crochets. 1, 2, 3, and 4. You're going to chain 2 for the corner, pull those stitches over, and then work 4 more double crochet back into that corner chain 2 space. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And when you look at your work, you can see that you have 4 half double crochet, a chain 2, and 4 half double crochet forming your corner. So now we're just going to begin our repeat of the shell stitch pattern across the bottom of our blanket. So swing your blanket around. We're going to skip the first 2 stitches, and remember this first stitch is covered up, so pull those stitches back, and remember to skip that first stitch, skip the second stitch, and into the third stitch work 2 half double crochets. 1 and 2. You're going to chain 2 and then work 2 more half double crochet back into that same stitch. 1 and 2. And again, you're forming your shell stitch of 2 half double crochet, chain 2, and 2 half double crochet. And then you're just going to start up the repeat. You're going to skip the next 2 stitches, 1, 2, and into the next stitch work your shell stitch of 2 half double crochets, 1 and 2, chain 2, and then work 2 more half double crochet back into that same stitch. 1 and 2, and your shell stitch is made. So I'll show you one more time. You're going to skip the next 2 stitches and into the next stitch work your shell stitch of 2 half double crochet, 1 2, you're going to chain 2, and then work 2 half double crochet back into that same stitch. 1 and 2. And your shell stitch is formed, and this is what your pattern looks like. So go ahead and continue. You're going to skip the next 2 stitches and into the next stitch, work 2 half double crochet, a chain 2 and 2 half double crochet. Repeat that across the bottom of your afghan until you're within 2 stitches of the corner, and I'll meet you there. I'm over at my next corner. We just worked across the bottom of our foundation row, and we worked the same shell pattern, and you worked across until you had 2 stitches remaining. So we're going to skip the next 2 stitches, and into the corner chain 2 space you're going to work 4 half double crochets. 1, 2, 3, and 4. You're going to chain 2 to form your corner, and then you're just going to pull those stitches back, and then we're going to work 4 more half double crochet back into that same corner chain 2 space. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And when you look at your work, you're going to notice you have 4 half double crochet, a chain 2, and 4 half double crochet forming your corner. So now we have 1 side remaining to go, so we're going to swing our work around, and now we're going to be working down the length of our afghan across the 4th side. So now we're going to start our repeat again down the 4th side. So you want to pull those stitches back and make sure that you're skipping that first stitch, skip the next stitch, and into that 3rd stitch, work 2 half double crochets. 1 and 2. You're going to chain 2, and then work 2 more half double crochet back into that same stitch, forming your shell stitch. 1 and 2. And when you look at your work, again, 2 half double crochet, a chain 2, and 2 half double crochet all into that same stitch. And then just repeat the pattern again. Skip the next 2 stitches and into the next stitch, work your shell stitch of 2 half double crochet, 1 and 2, chain 2, and then work 2 half double crochet back into that same stitch. 1 and 2. Let's do it one more time together. You're going to skip the next 2 stitches and into the next stitch, work 2 half double crochets. 1 and 2. You're going to chain 2, and then back into that same stitch, work 2 half double crochets. 1 and 2. And your shell stitch is formed. And again, you're just repeating the same pattern. So go ahead and continue. You're going to skip the next 2 stitches and into the next stitch, work 2 half double crochet, chain 2, 2 half double crochet. Repeat that down the length until you have 3 stitches remaining, and I'll meet you there. I'm over at my last corner of round 2 of our border. We just worked our shell stitch repeat down the length, and you should have a total of 3 stitches remaining, and then your corner chain 2 space. We're going to skip those last 3 stitches, and we're going to work 4 half double crochet into that corner chain 2 space. 1, 2, 3, and 4. You're going to chain 2 for your corner, Then just move those stitches over, and then we're going to work 4 more half double crochet back into that same corner chain 2 space. 1, 2, 3, and 4. So when you look at your work, you have 4 half double crochet, chain 2, and 4 half double crochet into your corner chain 2 space, forming your corner. So now when you look at your work, you're back over to your first shell stitch. So now we're ready to join. We're going to skip that beginning chain 1, and you want to insert under the top 2 loops of that first half double crochet stitch, and then slip stitch through that stitch and through the loop on your hook. So we are done with our border and we are done with our afghan. So I'm just going to fasten off. Now I like to leave a longer length because I use a yarn needle to weave in my ends. So I'm just going to clip that off. When I fasten off, I chain 2, pull my hook up, yarn out, grab, pinch, pull down, and it creates a secure knot. So now all you have to do is take your yarn needle and weave your ends in through the back. You want to weave it down through and then through these stitches, back through a second time, and if your yarn is long enough, weave it back through a third time to make it nice and secure. Our afghan is finished. Now I have this folded so I could get it in the viewfinder. If you enjoyed today's crochet tutorial, please make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any of the crochet fun here on Creative Grandma's channel. So thank you everybody for stopping by today, spending a little bit of time with me making this baby blanket. So until next time, stay inspired and happy crocheting. Bye everyone.